Hello, this is Adam Betts, and today I'm going to be covering an assignment for class that's based off Chapter 8 of How to Think Like a Computer Programmer, but it's to write a function, reverse each word, or rev each word in a sentence that takes a sentence of words that may or may not have a final period and which returns a sentence, each of which the words is reversed. You can assume they're all lowercase and no punctuation is the final period, which we're not going to worry too much about this, and for reasons you'll see soon. And for example, if the sentence is to be or not to be is the question, the output should be ot eb ro tan ot eb tat si et, niestiok or whatever. So that's pretty much it. So to start off with, we're going to get a list of punctuation just because you use this for some other functions, and this includes all the major punctuation marks, and it just makes it a little bit simpler. And the first order of business that we're going to have to do is to we need to make a way to reverse each of these words. And it could, we can make this even work for an entire sentence. Fortunately, it's just individual words, but we'll come to that in a second. So first, let's make a mirror function, because we want to make something that's going to reverse order. So we'll return mirror of string, and we'll call it S, and preserves final punctuation. Simple enough. So we're going to start this off by doing a few things. We're going to define a sentence. We're going to define a punctuation. And we're going to have our reversed output. And then we're just going to go ahead and put these as empty strings that we can add stuff to. And this makes it a little bit simpler. So first things first, we need to go for, let's say, letter in S, which is going to be our string. And we're going to see, we need to figure out if there's punctuation there first, because that we don't want it in the back up at the beginning of our thing if it's at the end. We want it to actually be at the final part of the last phrase. So we're going to need to pull the punctuation out if it is in there. And so we're going to say if letter is there, and then we're going to bring another if statement if letter not in punctuation. What this will do is if it's not in this, we're going to use this to append it to a sentence. And we'll just do sentence plus equal letter. And this will add each individual letter to it. And if not, we're just going to go, since it's not, if it's not in there at all, we don't even have to worry about it. So we're just going to do this. Right, not pun, yeah. And we're going to add this any punctuation mark to this little thing to append back to our sentence. Now that that's done, we're also going to go another step forward, and we're going to need to reassemble this sentence or whatever's in there to mirror. We're just going to make it do anything. So for a in range, we're going to do this as the length of the sentence that we were making. Because what we're going to do is we'll take our reverse sentence output, and we're going to do the original sentence that we've cleared the punctuation out of right here, and we're going to need to add a way to go transverse this list backwards. So we take the length of sentence and we subtract a, and then we subtract 1. What this will do is instead of it going from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many characters it is, it's going to go from 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and to 1. We need to make sure this actually goes 1 less, otherwise we're going to get a range error. And by doing this, which that's it right there, we can go, and then we're going to finally return this output into our function, because so we can actually use this. So we're going to return NES plus pun. Now let's test this and see how this works. This is a very good sentence right here. So what we're just going to do, we're just going to copy this and go print, mirror, and this. Oops. B, that is the question. And we'll go ahead and add a period in here too, just because. So if we do this, oops, I missed some of punctuation. Oh, I missed an extra quote here. Oops. There we go. I accidentally added an extra close parentheses there, and we're going to see what's going on here and what we need to fix. So if we go through our function, we have our punctuation mark, we have our sentence value or punctuation value or this for letter, not in S, and then we're going to go for each value there if a letter is not in punctuation, and we can look through this, we can see the errors coming from. This is line 19, we're going to go to line 16, which is right here, and we're going to see what the problem is. Well, if we look at this, we can see that we have made a slight error in our index, because we need to add a bracket to that, and that does it. Now we actually have everything's reversed. Now this isn't quite the assignment. We need to get each individual word. So let's actually go and define our other function, which is the one we're going to be doing is reverse each word, and I'm going to use S just for shorthand because that makes it a little bit easier to type this out, and this will reverse each individual word in a sentence and preserve final punctuation. And this one is a little bit easier because so we're just going to take our words and we'll just call this words. We're just going to call them that. That sounds good. And we're going to do s.split. And what this is going to do is this is going to take our sentence S and split it into individual words and make and this is going to end up making a list. We're also going to go sentence equals blank, and we're just going to append this to a list for afterwards. For A and words, what this will do is this will transverse each individual word on it, and we're going to go and take each individual word and we're going to append it to a list and we're going to mirror it back out. And if we do this, we can then print and take advantage of some formatting options to add a space and join this list back together, which with sentence, which is what we're going to be putting everything back into. And this will take the list that it does there and do it. So if we try this now, and we're going to go and try this. Where is, oh, there's a plus in there. Shouldn't be in there. And we have this going through and actually printing out the correct thing, and it does have a little none here. The reason that is because I'm printing, and anytime you see none, it's because you're printing a return, you're printing a print statement, and when you print a print, you get none. This actually will fix it by removing it. So, and the way this works is, like I said, it's and just to kind of walk through the list to make sure that, explain it, is we're basically taking our sentence, we're defining, and this is just for my sanity and to make it a little bit easier to keep it organized, where I have a sentence, my punctuation mark, and NES, which is my reverse of send. Just reversed it just because it's easier for me to remember like this. And what we're doing is for each letter in this sentence, we're evaluating it. And if it's not in this punctuation list, we're going to add this letter to the sentence, which this will strip the punctuation out of the sentence. So as otherwise, if we didn't have it follow this step, the period here would end up at the beginning because it would be fully reversed, and we're not doing that, much like this is right here. So what we're going to do next is we're going to save that punctuation mark, because that way if we change this to a, let's say, exclamation mark, it'll actually put it back at the end as well, which that way if there's punctuation and not just a period anything, is not much more effort to do this way. So, and once we do this, we have our mirror, and it returns a full reverse image of the sentence, as in, like, so if we take our original statement here and we mirror it and print it, because we're actually doing something to the function, you'll see that the first one is the fully reversed version minus the punctuation mark that's brought at the end. So, but the nice thing about this is this right here will also work for any string that you put in there. If you put A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you were to print it off, it would preserve this punctuation at the end of it, and it reversed the order and then added the ellipses towards the end, and which is kind of cool. So it does it for a word, it does it for a string. So we're just going to keep this as a mirror and go from there. And what this function does is it basically evaluates the entire string one word at a time, and what this will do is it splits it up and it adds it to a list. Because if we were to pull up WS, which, it's not defined, so if we were to go, if we were to do this right here, and go WS equals S dot split, let's make this equals to S. If we were to make this to be S, and we get this sentence back. So if we were to just go, oops, I added some extra things that shouldn't have been there. So let's try this again. So if we were to take our S value and we were to go S dot split, and we're going to assign this to words, what this will do is it splits it up. So if we were to call back words, it populates a list with every single part of it, but the spaces are now gone. It's just a list of the words. So if we were to just so now that we have that list there, we can apply the mirror to each individual part of it with our for A and WS function. Once this does, we can append this to a new list sentence, and we can go, and what this will do is it just appends it to a sentence. So we can go, so sen equals, and we're going to append it to another list, and we can go sen for A and WDS is equal to our sen, and we're going to append it, and then we can append each individual phrase with the mirror of the function. So if we do, and what this will end up doing is that we can then print it back out as our actual phrase. So like we can fix this typo here and go from the, once we fix our macro, and if we were to go just sen, we're going to get our phrase. Now, if we were to, but if we print it off, we don't want lists, we want to bring it back to the sentence. So by using the print command, we can add whatever phrase we want and to join to our list. So for each individual phrase, it's going to print a space. We could put a comma if we wanted to between each one of these. And if we did that and use the join command, it allows us to recombine the sentence in the same format as before. Since we don't want the comma there, it does this. And that's how to do this problem, where we are to take a sentence or a string and to reverse each individual word in there and put it back together. This is Adam Betts, and hopefully you learned something new today.